Hi there, Rick here. Want to make a YouTube video on a book review. Um, it's a well-known person, okay? His name is Mike Holmes, and the book was it was called, the title was Making It Right, okay? Um, I don't have the book in front of me here just because I had packed it away in a box and, wow, I didn't want to bring it out. Um, so Mike Holmes, okay, he's quite a well-known person. Okay, he has his own TV show. He lives in the United States. Um, he's a very smart guy. Like, he knows how to do a lot of things related to the homes. Okay, um, I was reading his biography. Um, his dad, okay, um, was a handyman. Okay, and a lot of people knew him in the neighborhood. Okay, whenever they needed work done, whether it be electrical, plumbing, tiling, maybe maybe a addition to the home. Um, but he was kind of like a handyman. And he knew how to do lots of things. Okay, and so people knew him in the neighborhood. Okay, they trusted him, right? When they needed work done, they would call him, right? Well, when they want to get work done, okay, they know how expensive it is to get, a professional in there to actually do the work, right? Um, because, well, for one, okay, they maybe have, quite a number of years experience doing that, right? And, they have to invest in the tools, right? Um, so, it's, I wouldn't say that they're, uh, overcharging. Like, I mean, if they're charging relatively, what everybody else is charging, they're probably not overcharging you, okay? Um, and, you're paying for, okay, um, their skill, what they have learned, over the years. Um, and, it's, uh, they put a lot of time into it, okay? Plus the investment that they made, okay? Um, be it a vehicle, all the tools they need, okay, to do the job, okay. Um, so Mike Holmes, when he was growing up, his dad was a handyman, and he was helping his dad out one time, okay. Um, they were doing a demo in a house, and there was a whole bunch of garbage on the ground, and his dad was saying to his son, um, Mike, you should clean that up. You got a whole bunch of garbage down there on the floor. It's maybe dangerous for your ladder. It might fall over. And then, being a 12-year-old, I guess, he thought, his son thought, he already knew, so much, right? Sure enough, the ladder, well, I guess it was set up on the garbage on the ground a bit. So the ladder wasn't level. It fell over, okay? He broke his arm, okay? So he learned a valuable lesson there, right? Maybe you should listen to your dad, who has more experience in this sort of work, and yeah, then you wouldn't have broken your arm, right? Um, so when Mike Holmes was growing up, I heard that he built uh, a tree house, and he used all his dad's scrap wood and a lot of his nails in his carport. And I think the house tree, that probably looked quite nice. There was probably a wooden ladder going up, right? And then, he made the floor, the walls, okay? Um, he probably, made it look quite nice. Also, too, I heard by the time he was, 12 years old, he already knew how to wire the entire house. I thought that was pretty impressive. Um, because I've seen some people, even electricians, they don't know. Some of them didn't know what they were doing, okay? You flip a switch, and instead of the light going on in that room, okay, that you're in, it goes in the adjacent room, the room beside you, right? um, when he was growing up, okay, in his teenage years, okay, because his dad was already a handyman, his dad knew a lot of people in the trades too. It gave him an opportunity for him to worked with a lot of other experienced handymen too. Okay, so he was picking up, different skills in different areas. Okay, when he was growing up, and when um, when he was 19 years old, okay, he got offered, I guess after graduation, he got offered a job working for some, big construction company, and he would have like 12 workers underneath him, okay. So he's kind of like the foreman. He's looking after 12 workers, below him, okay. You have to remember, he's only 19 years old. I'm pretty sure that position was probably paying at least, a six-digit income, okay? I would say, so at least $100,000 a year, okay? And then even, what was it? A few years later, he done a washroom for a customer, $60,000 washroom, okay? So it must have been quite elaborate. Everything from the different vanities, the vanity sets in there, the mirrors, the tiling, the bathtub, maybe even had a hot tub in the washroom as well too. Okay, maybe it had a a fancy type of window system, so the people using the washroom, that if they're in the hot tub, or they can look out the window, okay, without having the people see in, okay. So he finished the $60,000 washroom, and then he calls up his dad. He says, "Dad, I finished the $60,000 washroom, $60,000 washroom. Why don't you come by and have a look at it?" So his dad comes by, has a look at it, right? And then he's telling his dad about this, and this, all these different things that he done to it, and then he said, his dad goes, "Wow, this is amazing," and yeah. And then he says to his dad, he says, "Yeah, you can do this too, right? Can't you, Dad? You could do this, with your eyes closed, right?" And he goes, "No, I can't do a job like this. A lot of the different codes you're mentioning to me, I've never even heard of those codes before." And he says to his son, I've taught you quite a few different things, and not only did you remember it, but you've taken it to the next level, and a lot of the things that you're doing now, I just can't do, okay. So it probably made his son feel pretty good. He learned what his dad had taught him, and then he also continued, his learning, and brought it to the next level. And if I done a washroom for a customer at $60,000, I probably would have taken lots of pictures of it, right? It'd probably be one of my prized projects that I've done for a customer, and I would tell a lot of my other customers about it too, how I done a $60,000 washroom for a customer, right? It just seems quite amazing that some people, okay, they have lots of money, okay, they're willing to spend like $60,000 on a washroom, right? But some of the projects, okay, whether it be inside the home or outside the home, they're actually worth quite a bit of money, okay? Because if you know how to do those sorts of projects, okay, you'll be busy throughout the entire year, and even keeping a lot of your workers busy too, right? Because there's a lot of people out there too, they want to work in the industry, but they also they want to have a good boss, okay. When I say a good boss, okay, not a boss that puts his whip to his workers, okay. I've had some bosses like that before in the past, and I usually don't work for those guys, okay. It's only from working out there in the industry, okay, you see how different bosses act, okay? I find too that those bosses that put their whip to the workers, they have a difficult time finding anybody to work for them, okay? Because I remember working for this one boss, okay? He was installing vinyl windows. I felt that he was he was pressuring his workers to work overtime with no overtime pay, okay? I've from working in the window industry, I have talked to some bosses, and I see the boss had bought the workers their supper, okay, because you're making them work through their supper time, okay. Maybe they buy the workers supper once in a while, okay, and and they're buying them good food too, okay. They're not buying them maybe dollar store stuff, right, to eat, right? Instant noodles or something like this, right? They're buying KFC, pizzas and things like this, okay? So, just to make a long story short, this guy, this installer, okay, he was working at the vinyl window company that, I was working at, and, I couldn't work with the guy, and, as, help as an installer, in his company. And I could see too that when he was bringing in guys, none of them were staying with him for that long. Okay, he was going through workers, just so quickly. Okay, sometimes even a week, 2 weeks, a month, right? And I kind of refused to to help him do his jobs, right? So Mike Holmes, another thing I really like about him was his TV show when he was talking about other people's projects. He showed some really sloppy projects out there, okay? And he would make some funny jokes, and it was quite common for him to make jokes about the different jobs the sloppy jobs that people are doing out there. And I know that some of the contractors didn't like it, okay, because they felt that he was giving them a bad name. He was giving the industry a bad name, okay? Because I remember there was this one project that a lady was describing, okay? The contractor was supposed to come in and do the washroom, okay? Anyways, he came in, he started doing some of the work, okay? It was pretty sloppy work, okay? And, not only had he not finished the job, but he stole the lady's husband's tools, okay? And he just took off, okay? I guess he took the deposit, he stole the lady's husband's tools, and he just ran away, okay? So she was, explaining, what had happened, and, Mike was listening, right? Mike Holmes was listening, and, but when I was looking at him, he didn't look that young anymore. He looked like he was maybe in his 40s. So he had, lots of years of experience, right, already in the industry, right? And he probably knew lots of other people in the industry as well. One of the things he was saying was, if you do a project, try to go a little bit above the standard a bit, okay? What I mean by that, if plywooding a roof of a house, okay, instead of going with the normal standard of thickness of plywood, go a 1/4 inch thicker, okay? Just add on a little bit more, right? Because I remember looking at framing of a house, okay? Believe it or not, framing is a very special skill too, okay? And the framer, okay, this was a big house, okay? Instead of using 2x6s for the framing for the roof, the guy went with 2x10s, okay? So made it a lot stronger, right? And if you're up on the roof, okay, like it was solid up there because the guy used 2x10s, right? And well, like, I mean, he probably used a lot of nails too, okay? I'll tell you this one story. I wouldn't forget it just because uh, it was just amazing to see, okay? Um, this one, this one window, okay? Maybe the size of a bedroom size window. Um, Seriously, the person who installed it used about 120 nails to put it in, okay? It took me maybe about, I don't know, hour and a half to take it out because I didn't know that the builder had used 120 nails in on the nail flange of the window, right? So, I was telling one of my other workers about it, just saying how, he's just he's just overdoing it, okay? He's not only wasting his material, but he's wasting his time too, okay? You don't need 120 nails in the nail flange for a window, okay? Um, and I've seen it on some other job sites too, um, you know, uh, every once in a while too, where the builder had used way too many nails to put the window frame in. Looking for those type of jobs to do, okay, jobs that had got messed up, okay, because it made for a good story for his TV show, Holmes on Holmes, okay, and because he was so well known, okay, um, and he had his own TV show, okay. He was probably, well, really well known in the United States, right? Because there was another person around Vancouver here. His name was Shell Buzzy, okay? And I think his show was Shell Buzzy's House Smarts. And he would have his own podcast, okay, where he was on the radio, and then people would phone in and ask him about different projects, okay, or they have a problem with the home and they ask for his opinion how to fix it. And he was really smart, okay. He knew how to what material to use, how to do it, the hardware store where you could find this, okay, item, and who you could maybe hire to do the job, okay. But also too, I came across some projects where I think the company was recommended by Shell Buzzy, okay. Um, it was a vinyl siding job, and the the contractor came with about 3 workers, and by the afternoon, all the workers, well, had a meeting, and then all the workers had left. I don't know why, but that's what happened. But so Mike Holmes, okay, sometimes I would see him, okay, heading out to work, okay, because he was a handyman, he was doing lots of different things, okay. Like one time I noticed he was heading out, and well, he had some downpipe, and he said he was going out to fix a person's gutter, okay. I just thought that was kind of a really Mickey Mouse job for him, because you know how much experience he has, right? And now he's going out to do such a little job, with so little skill involved in fixing a person's gutter, for example, right? But you have to remember too, that's what the customer wants, right? If the customer is willing to pay, for somebody to do it right, um, he sees it as work, right? And he goes out and does it, right? Even some of the jobs that I go out and do as a handyman, some of them I see as, well, just kind of like little Mickey Mouse jobs too, right? Like um, the back deck maybe has some rotten pieces of wood in it, right? And they want me to replace this strip, and this strip, right? That's it, right? So I'll do it. But when I talk about the more skilled jobs, What I mean by that is um, installing a double door, a French door in a customer's home. Okay, you need a bit of skill to be able to do that. Installing the customer's, new patio door, or even installing one of the windows on the homes. Um, put in trim board, okay, around the new window going in. Okay, there's a bit of skill involved in that too. Okay. Um, I was showing one of my friends, David, how to do that, and he stuck it out for the summertime. Okay. Um, but after the summer, he said to me, he said, Rick, I don't think I really enjoy doing this job. I appreciate you giving me a job, but um, I just I don't really enjoy it as much. And then um, I heard he went to go work as a car salesman. Okay, I think he done that for a couple of years, and then he called me up, and he just asked me if he was busy, right? If I was busy, and I said yes, because I think he got laid off um, from the auto shop, right? And well, you know, he was looking for work, right? And he was. Well, I think he wanted to come back to work for me, but he couldn't bring himself to say, Rick, can I have a job from you again? You know, and you have to remember, you already said to me, you didn't really, enjoy the work, right? And now you call me back, and about 2 years later, wanting to, do the work again, right? But I know that one, you don't have a passion to do the work. Two, I know that you're not really gonna put your mind into it, okay? Um, but I think there's lots of people are like that, okay? They're doing something as a career, and they don't really enjoy it, okay? And this is really important, okay? So it's quite well. They're just doing it for the money, okay? Or maybe they're just doing it because it's work, okay? Because there's some people that do a job, they're not making huge sums of money in it. They're making enough just to pay their bills, right? And maybe save up a little bit. And then there's other people who are, making lots of money at what they're doing. And, maybe they do enjoy it, maybe they don't enjoy it, right? It all depends upon the person, right? But I say it's always quite important to enjoy what you're doing, okay? Because remember, okay, you're going out doing something you enjoy doing, okay? And you're getting paid for it too, right? Maybe you're getting paid, good money for it too, right? I remember Magic Johnson, okay? He was a professional basketball player. He said one time, I feel that it's a crime doing something you enjoy doing and getting paid for it, okay? Remember, he's a professional NBA basketball player in the United States, Magic Johnson, okay? And he was really well known, okay? I think he even became a commentator for a while, okay? And I think LA was a good place for him to go play, okay? Big franchise, big city, right? He was well known when he entered the NBA draft, right? And the first team that he went to go play with was LA, and then he stayed with LA for his entire career, right? The people in the city loved him, right? I saw his house, right? It looked like a big mansion, right? Big swimming pool. He was having big parties, lots of beautiful women at his place, right? And but he was diagnosed with AIDS, okay? And I think a lot of people were really shocked. and he it just had a devastating effect on his life. Because remember, this was during the time when I think they when he got it, this was the time when I don't think there was really a cure for AIDS, and if you got it, I think you would just live for like a few more years. That's it, right? So Mike Holmes, I would say that he was a pretty amazing person. Okay, to have that much skill at such an early age, um, be able to know how to wire an entire house, okay, the electrical for an entire house, okay, at age 12, um, being like, only 19, and you're being offered a job in a big, you know, um, a big construction company, having, 12 people work underneath you, okay. Remember, you're only 19 years old, okay. Um, usually it's the other way around. Usually it's the older person who has got more of the experience, and the younger people work under you, and they follow orders from you. Okay, I'm sure he was he was quite a smart guy too. Okay, when somebody showed him something, okay, you only need to show him once, and he would remember it. Okay. You have to remember, there's some people out there, some contractors, they just specialize in one area. Okay, it might be the landscaping around the outside of the home. That's all they do. Okay, if you ask them to do additional work inside the house, they go, no, I don't do that. Don't know how to do it. Yeah. Because even sometimes customers ask me, can you do this or you could do that? And this was years ago, and I would say no. I don't know how to do that. If enough customers asked me to do something and I didn't know how to do it, I would, try to learn it. Okay. Because if you take a look at, well, the building supply stores, right? There's a lot of people who go in there just to, they see all the different projects. Okay. For example, Lowe's. Okay. If you go to Lowe's in Vancouver, in one of their locations, I noticed that they had these big, elaborate kitchen setups. Okay, and I think when I was asking for a price, a lot of them were between $10,000 to like $40,000. Okay, really nice. Looked like a marble countertop, right? Really expensive looking cabinets with fancy styles in the wood, fancy glass, okay, in the cabinet doors, expensive ovens, convection ovens, expensive different type of dishwashers, fancy different types of sinks, sink hardware, taps, fancy type of floors, and everything matched. Okay, when I say match was, the color, everything, just the way it was set up. Okay, everything in the kitchen matched. Okay, I read that book a few years ago, so I forgot what a lot of things that I read inside that book, but the book was called Mike Holmes, Making It Right. Okay. I think it was also showing different projects that he done in the book too, and wow, it was kind of related to the industry I was into, right? So I was interested in it, right? I bought the book, read his biography. Just a really amazing person. Because remember too, when people are planning on doing different projects, right? Some of these projects, okay, like in addition to the home, something like that is not cheap. You know, and sometimes it costs easily in the tens of thousands of dollars. Like, you're not going to be able to get it done for like $4,000 or $5,000. Okay, like probably you're going to pay about 3 times that amount or 4 times that amount just for the materials. Okay, because I've seen some people, they make additions to their home, right? And they add, like, you know, extra suite, okay, and they rent it out, right? So it's extra income for them too, okay? Even my neighbor, well, they, I think they made some illegal suites, and well, they rent it out, and I know that their downstairs has 2 separate suites, okay?